I am not sorry for something I didn't do, and I am not sorry for the things I did do.
A judge in Tampa found Ronnie O'Neal guilty of killing his girlfriend and young daughter, also stabbing his son.
On March 18th, 2018, at exactly 11:43 p.m., a 911 dispatcher in Riverview, Florida received a call that would haunt everyone who heard it. A woman's terrified voice screamed for help as a man bellowed in the background, his words chilling and incoherent. "She killed me," he yelled. "Don't come outside. Call 911 now." And then, Allah Akbar, the call went dead. 8 minutes later, at 11:51 p.m., the same 911 system lit up again, but this time, the caller was calm, cold even. It was him, the same man from the background of that first call, Ronnie O'Neal III, and what he said next would shock the operator to their core. He claimed he'd been attacked by white demons, that his girlfriend Kenyatta had tried to kill him. Then, with disturbing casualness, he admitted, "I just killed her." If you're hearing this story for the first time, do me a favor. Hit that like button right now. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Share this with someone who loves true crime. And subscribe to Mistora Crime. Don't forget to click that bell icon because cases like this, they need to be heard. They need to be remembered. Now let's dive deep into one of the most horrific domestic violence cases Florida has ever seen. To understand what happened that night, you need to know who these people were. Ronnie O'Neal III wasn't always a monster, or maybe he was, and the signs were just ignored. Born on July 27, 1989, in Florida, Ronnie had a childhood that was far from normal. When he was just 5 years old, he was sexually abused by extended relatives. Can you imagine? 5 years old. That kind of trauma, it doesn't just go away. It festers, it grows, it changes you. Despite all this, Ronnie somehow managed to graduate from East Bay High School. He played football. He was in ROTC. He seemed like he was trying to build something for himself. But underneath, something was broken. Something dark was waiting. He met Kenyatta Barron, and they started a relationship. She was 33 years old, a student at Hillsborough Community College, a woman who loved her kids more than anything in this world. She'd play football with her son in the front yard. She'd make him bean pie. She was learning sign language to communicate with her daughter, who couldn't speak. Ron Nivea, their 9-year-old daughter, had cerebral palsy and autism. She used a wheelchair. She couldn't talk, but she was loved. She was recognized at school with a Terrific Kid Award. Their son, Ronnie IV, was 8 years old, a normal kid who loved his mom and sister. But Ronnie and Kenyatta's relationship, it wasn't healthy. It was volatile, toxic, the kind that makes neighbors nervous. By 2016, they'd separated and were living apart. Ronnie had even had another son with a different girlfriend named Aisha Robinson. But separation didn't mean safety for Kenyatta. In 2017, Ronnie himself was shot nearly fatally. Some say this changed him even more. He converted from Christianity to Islam, following the Nation of Islam. And after that shooting, something in him seemed to snap even harder. Now here's where things get tense, where you start to feel that knot in your stomach. Kenyatta knew something was wrong. Weeks before that terrible night, Ronnie had allegedly threatened her with a knife. She was scared, but she was also a mother trying to protect her children. She was trapped in that impossible situation so many domestic violence victims face. Do you leave and risk enraging him further? Do you stay and hope things get better? She was trying to survive, trying to keep her babies safe. Then came March 18th, 2018. We don't know exactly what triggered Ronnie that night, but what we do know is absolutely horrifying. He had a plan, and it was brutal. He grabbed a shotgun. Forensic investigators would later find shotgun projectiles embedded in closet doors, spent casings on the floor, waddings and pellets scattered everywhere. Kenyatta's blood was on the closet door. She tried to hide. She tried to run. She tried to survive. But Ronnie shot her in the right shoulder. When the shotgun broke, did he stop? No. He beat her with the barrel of that broken shotgun. Multiple lacerations covered her body, blunt force trauma to her neck and head. The medical examiner determined that's what killed her, being beaten to death with a shotgun barrel by the father of her children. But he wasn't done. Ronnie, their 9-year-old daughter who couldn't speak, who couldn't defend herself, who trusted her father completely. She was next. He shot her in the neck, a wound so severe essentially decapitated her. Then he took a hatchet and delivered multiple blows and stab wounds to her small body. Think about that for a second. A father taking a hatchet to his own daughter who couldn't even cry out for help. And then there was Ronnie IV, 8 years old, watching all this unfold. Here's where this case takes an even darker turn. Ronnie called his son into the bedroom. He handed him the shotgun. He helped him shoot it. Was he trying to make his son complicit in his mother's murder? Was this some twisted way of bonding? We'll never fully understand his mind, but what happened next is clear. Ronnie turned on his son. He stabbed him multiple times, wounds to his torso, his neck, his left arm, his lower right face. One stab wound punctured the boy's lung. Another cut was so deep that his intestines were protruding from his body. Then, as if that wasn't enough, Ronnie set his own son on fire. 20% of that child's body was burned. But here's the thing about survival, about the human will to live. That 8-year-old boy, with stab wounds covering his body, with his insides literally outside, with his skin burning, he got up. He walked out of that house. Sergeant Tagliarini arrived on scene and saw something that would give him nightmares for the rest of his life. A young child, struggling to walk, emerging from a burning home, still smoldering from being set on fire. A paramedic named Veronica Witt rushed to help him, and you know what that brave little boy said? "My dad killed my mom." Or, "My dad shot my mom." Even in that moment, even dying, he was trying to tell the truth. The police found Ronnie O'Neal III and tried to arrest him. He resisted until they tasered him. And while sitting in the back of that squad car, he called Kenyatta the devil and said, "The kids are the devil's kids." No remorse. No humanity, just cold, calculated evil. Now, you'd think a horror ends there, but it doesn't. The trial was something else entirely. In 2018, Ronnie was initially found not competent to stand trial, but by May 2019, the Department of Children and Families determined he was competent to proceed. The trial finally began on June 16, 2021, and Ronnie decided to represent himself. Let that sink in. The man who murdered 2 people and tried to kill a third wanted to defend himself in court. During his opening statements, Ronnie was agitated, yelling at the jury for nearly 30 minutes straight. He claimed evidence had been tampered with. He said Kenyatta had threatened to kill him with a knife weeks before. He was trying to paint himself as the victim. Can you imagine sitting on that jury, watching this man rant and rave, knowing what he'd done? But the most powerful testimony came from Ronnie IV. He was 11 years old by then, and he had to sit in that courtroom and relive the worst night of his life. They brought in a golden retriever to sit beside him for emotional support. He told the jury everything. How he saw his dad holding a shotgun, how his mom was screaming, how his father made him help shoot her.
Someone outside, and then I just saw my dad chase him, hit them with an axe. And then he went in the garage, I followed him. He put me on the ground, and then he had his foot on top. I was laying my stomach, he had his foot on top.
And then came the moment that made headlines around the world. Ronnie O'Neal III cross-examined his own son. His own son, the boy he tried to murder. He asked him, "Did I hurt you that night of the incident?" And that brave little boy looked at his father and said, "Yes." Ronnie pushed further. "How did I hurt you?" And the answer came simple and devastating. "You stabbed me."
Ronnie cross-examined his son, who had fully recovered from the stab wounds and burns Ronnie inflicted on him, and is testifying as a witness for the prosecution.
"I hurt you that night of this incident?"
Yes.
"I did. And how did I hurt you?"
He stabbed me.
What kind of person does that? What kind of father puts his traumatized child through that? The courtroom was stunned. Some people cried. Others sat in disbelief. But that little boy, he was strong. Stronger than anyone should ever have to be. During closing arguments, Ronnie did something unexpected. He admitted it. "I did kill Kenyatta Barron," he said. "But I want you to tell it like it is if you're going to tell it." He claimed he killed her because she murdered their daughter. A lie. A complete and utter lie meant to save himself. The jury saw through it.
Mr. Khalil Brown, you've been hearing me for 2 weeks now, telling you that they committed criminal acts against me with the 911 calls and that fraudulent video that they just showed y'all. Now, I'm going to prove it to you. You heard Khalil Brown. He said that he was actually sure that I only hit Kenyatta Barron 3 times. You heard. I called him to tell you that. I ain't running from nothing. They didn't call Khalil Brown to tell you that. I did. And you have to ask yourself why that is. Because I want you to know the actual facts. I did kill Kenyatta Barron. But I want you to tell it like it is if you're going to tell it.
On June 21st, 2021, Ronnie O'Neal III was found guilty on all counts. 2 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of attempted first-degree murder, 2 counts of aggravated child abuse, 1 count of arson, and 1 count of resisting a law enforcement officer. Now came the sentencing phase. Would he get the death penalty? The defense attorneys urged the jury to consider Ronnie's PTSD, his history of abuse. They revealed he'd been violently raped as a young child by family members or family friends. They wanted the jury to see him as damaged, not evil. The jury deliberated for about 3 hours, and they came back with their recommendation: life in prison without parole. Not death. They needed a unanimous vote for death, and they didn't get it. Some saw him as too broken to kill. Others perhaps thought life in prison was a worse fate. On July 23rd, 2021, Judge Michelle Cisco handed down the sentence: 3 consecutive life sentences without parole, plus 90 years. But before she did, she said something that captured what everyone was feeling. 19 years I've been at this job. I've seen human beings killed at the hands of others in every way imaginable. This is the worst case I've ever seen as far as the facts go. She was visibly emotional as she described Ron Nivia's death, saying, "At that moment, that child knew. She knew she was being betrayed in the cruelest, most tragic and sorrowful way that a child could ever be betrayed."
I've seen human beings killed at the hands of others in every way imaginable. You name it, I've seen it. Shootings, stabbings, drownings, suffocatings, blown apart by cars, some DUI manslaughter cases, horrible things. This is the worst case I have ever seen as far as the facts go.
Ronnie O'Neal III is now incarcerated at Liberty Correctional Institution in Bristol, Florida, where he'll spend the rest of his natural life. But there's one more part to this story, and it's the only light in all this darkness. Remember Ronnie IV? That 8-year-old boy who survived the unsurvivable? Detective Mike Blair was called to scene that night. He was told the child wasn't expected to live. But Detective Blair, he visited Ronnie in the hospital. He brought him Tampa Bay Buccaneers items through his connections with the team. And one night, this little boy, covered in bandages, healing from wounds that should have killed him, he held on to Detective Blair's hand and asked, "Could you watch a movie with me?" Detective Blair and his wife Danielle ditched their date night to watch a movie with Ronnie in that hospital.
Doing date night, do you mind if we go watch a movie with this kid?
I had already known that I would want to take Ronnie home with us, starting that.
And when problems arose with other family placement options, when it looked like this boy might end up lost in the system, a court-appointed guardian called Blair asking for help. On November 25th, 2019, Ronnie IV was officially adopted by Detective Mike Blair and his wife Danielle. He changed his name to Ronnie Blair, joining a family of 7. including 5 other children aged 16 to 23. Detective Blair said there was no expectation Ronnie would live and considers Ronnie's recovery to be a miracle. And it is this child who went through hell, who testified against his own father, who had every reason to give up on humanity, found a family that loves him. He talks about his mother with such love. She was just a good mom. We did like a lot of things together. She was nice, pushed me on the swing, made me some good wings. And his sister, the one he learned sign language for, he remembers her terrific Kid Award. He remembers how special she was. So let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about this. How does a child survive something like that? Not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually? What does it say about the human spirit that Ronnie Blair is thriving today with his new family? And on the flip side, what creates a monster like Ronnie O'Neal III? Was it the abuse he suffered as a child? Was it mental illness? Was it pure evil? Can trauma excuse what he did, or does it just explain it? At what point does a person become beyond saving, beyond redemption? And how many Kenatas are out there right now, trapped in dangerous relationships, trying to protect their children, not knowing if they'll survive another day? If this case moved you, if it made you think, if it made you feel something, I need you to do something for me. Hit that subscribe button from Restore Crime. Smash that like button. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this story. Drop a comment with your thoughts. And click that bell icon so you never miss a case. These stories matter. These victims matter. Their names deserve to be remembered. Kenyatta Barron, Ronnie O'Neal, and Ronnie Blair, the survivor who refused to let evil win. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.